All right, arrow pointing up. I will go first. I only actually have one this week, and it is UGA Golf, which might sound a little weird because they didn't actually make the NCAA championships or the finals this year. But I'll say good year so far for UGA Dogs on tour. Sepp Straka, Russell Henley, and Harris English, all three are in the top 10 in the FedEx Cup standings right now. But that's not the reason I'm bringing this up. The arrow is pointing up because of a 16, maybe 17-year-old junior in high school, Mason Howell from Thomasville, Georgia, goes to Brookwood School in Thomasville, Georgia, qualified for the U.S. Open in the Atlanta Regional over the weekend. So for people that aren't super golf nuts like I am, my wife is as well, they call U.S. Open qualifying day golf's longest day. You're playing 36 holes. There are a lot of former pros. There are a lot of rising star amateurs. There are a lot of college athletes that are participating in these U.S. Open qualifiers, trying to finish in the top, 4, 6, whatever, and depending on the regional, for the U.S. Open. It is as grueling of a day of golf as you're going to find, and it is as competitive of a day of golf as you're going to find. And so the fact that Mason Howell not only qualified, tied for first in his qualifying event is crazy to me. It was a bogey-free 36 holes for him. He went 18 under. The reason why I'm bringing this up as well, I should have said, he is committed to play college golf at Georgia. He's also a state champion from last year. He was tied for the low medalist with his high school teammate, who also just signed in December to play golf at Georgia as well. So a couple of guys from Brookwood School in Thomasville that are winning state championships, that are qualifying for the U.S. Open in incredible fashion. 18 under is just ridiculous over 2 rounds of golf for anybody, but especially for someone like Mason Howell who can't even vote. So it's crazy to me. Unbelievable accomplishment. He will be participating in Oakmont next weekend at the U.S. Open. There were major champions. I mean, Zach Johnson was in his qualifying event that he's qualifying over the top of. So I think people need to understand just how good youth golfers are nowadays. The game has grown to a point that young golfers can dominate some of these types of events. Nonetheless, still crazy, still shocking, really impressive. Still has another year of high school as well. But yeah, Mason Howell, arrow pointing up on him, arrow pointing up on UGA Golf, and just some, good news on that front. Even though, again, I know that the college season itself didn't go ideally according to plan, Georgia's still churning out UGA golfers left and right.
Imagine being that young and the pressure of that moment, and for it to not affect you, and for him to play that well. And just think about too, like if you're a golfer 16, 17, and if you're that good, I mean, like you're basically set for the next 50 years as far as playing golf. And talk about 18 under there, Ben. That had to remind you of our game, right? Like that had to remind you of being out on the links, me and you.
Yeah, what was it, like 18 under 120 or something like that?
Yeah, that's just your typical Thursday over at Chimney Oaks.
That's right. All right, Jordan. I'm going to give a quick shout out while you mentioned that when we're talking golf, and you mentioned the Chimneys as well. With the collective, I want to give a shout out to a guy, Patrick Jacobs, that does work over with the collective. Just got a hole-in-one on that downhill par 3 on the front 9. We talked about it when we played, that it is the perfect hole-in-one hole because you get to watch your ball roll in, you get a perfect view of everything. So I did want to give a shout out to him because I saw on Instagram yesterday that he had gotten a hole-in-one. I think he said it was playing. I think it was from his Instagram caption. I think it was like playing 140. It was 147 playing 135 downhill. Nice little 9-iron into the wind. Congratulations. One day, Jordan, maybe it'll be us.
I believe in us. 2 arrows pointing up. Arrow pointing up. Bad baseball teams. Just gonna mention the Braves. Look, I'm done. I'm out. Like they're not making the playoffs. I've seen enough. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. But I really bring up bad baseball teams. Hey, shout out the Colorado Rockies. Colorado has been taking a ton of crap this year, rightfully so, because they've been really, really bad. They're coming off their first series win of 2025. You had to go back to 2024. And during that series win, first back-to-back wins since May 1st. So Braves are dead in the water. The Rockies are even worse, but let's shout out bad baseball teams. They're grinding through 162 game season. It's not always pretty, but you gotta shout out the achievements along the way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'll add this to that as well. I didn't know you were gonna bring up the Rockies, but I'm glad you did. Charlie Condon's been having some success in their minor league organization. I don't know if you know this about me, Jordan, but growing up, when my family would go on family vacations, we wouldn't go to like the beach. We would go to MLB parks all around the country, and then we would base our trips around cities and those types of things. The only parks that are out there that I haven't been to now at this point are Coors Field, San Francisco, obviously the new Las Vegas, whatever that's going to be, and then Seattle. I've been to everywhere else. I'm actually at the end of July, I'm going to go out to Denver and go see a Colorado Rockies game for the first time. Maybe not the best year for the Rockies to be able to go do it, but it's one that I wanted to try and check off my list. I've got a buddy that just moved out just outside of Denver as well. So maybe Charlie Condon will be playing for the Rockies by the time that I'm going out there.
Yeah, on our board on Wednesday, I brought up that he had hit another home run, and somebody was like, he's going to be in the majors before long. And I responded, okay, does that say more about Charlie Condon or does that say more about the Rockies? I think it's kind of 50-50.
Yeah, I think someone said technically.
Last arrow pointing up, Friendship. This is a
yeah.
new movie with Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd. Ben and I went and checked it out on Saturday, and we didn't really do a debrief after it, but I think you liked this as much as I did. To me, that's the most I've laughed in a movie theater in a while. I thought it was hilarious. If you know Tim Robinson, you know what you're getting into. If you're not, there's a lot of awkward comedy. So if you can't deal with like someone just being so super awkward, don't watch this movie. Otherwise, I mean, it was hilarious. I don't know, Ben, what your thoughts were, but it lived up to everything I hoped it would be. I thought it was very funny.
Well, yeah, I'll admit I didn't know a whole lot about it until you were like, yo, let's go see this movie. And, you know, I'm obviously a Paul Rudd guy, Tim Robinson guy, both very funny. It is one of those things, you know, you got to probably recommend it to the right person because I'm sure there's certain people that wouldn't necessarily get it or they would leave especially it's sort of an abrupt ending, I guess I would say, where they might be like, what? I think the girl next to us, when it ended, she said, what the hell? And so I think there are people that would have that reaction probably. That said, it's been a while since I've gone to a theater for a kind of an awkward, weird humor comedy movie. And it makes me realize like how interesting of a dynamic it is. There was a couple moments where I was in tears and I realized scenes were happening where I was laughing and not a whole lot of other people around the theater were in certain situations. It reminds me, and this was back like long time ago, but still, a stupid humor comedy that I think holds is super bad. That you can, if you're watching it with the wrong people are going to be looking at you like, you thought that was funny. You're sick in the head for thinking that was funny. But yeah, I mean, there were multiple times where I was having to stop myself from trying not to be as laughing as audibly as I was, especially knowing that I think there were people like the girl next to us that were like, what in the world is going on in this movie?
Yeah, it was a situation where I had to really be cognizant of how much soda I had left and like the popcorn I was eating. I was like, I'm going to get choked laughing at this. So, but that was a great experience. I thought it was a great movie.
Yeah, so someone will listen to this, go and see it, and leave the theater being like, "What was this?" I will say it is one of those movies where you kind of leave and you're like, "So what exactly was going on the whole time?" Like I don't totally, whatever. But that's the charm of it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and just think if you haven't already subscribed to Dogs 24/7, you can get a deal, and then you can get these movie reviews.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's more to offer than just football recruiting and team coverage.
Should we start doing a Paramount Plus? And I mean, not right now because we've got too much to talk about, but that's a good idea. You're more of like the right movies guy for things that are a little bit different. This is something we should definitely talk about offline. The possibility maybe we do Paramount Plus movie reviews where we watch movies that I haven't seen and then talk about them. I kind of like this, but
I think that's a great idea.
We'll table that one and we'll figure that one out as well.